Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday Talk Show. I hope everyone's doing well today. Let's see who is joining us. Nanya, hola, amigo, how are you? And Militant, Arc Wild, how are you? Scott, hello, hello. And Dr. Doctor, awesome. Thank you for joining me today. And Militant again. Hey, Militant, Militants everywhere, ninja skills. Hey, Prepper Cowboy, how you doing, Brad? I'm glad you made it. Um, And hello to, oh, there's Kentucky Survival. Hola. Ark Wildman, how are you? Ark, I got to tell you, you motivated me to start cooking in my cast irons more. I've been watching some of your videos. I'm like, yeah, that looks really good. You know, it's bad for us, like technically speaking, but it makes you happy. It makes me happy. I did bacon, eggs, the whole thing. And hey, shalom, Jewish redneck prepper. And we're beginning a 40, correct me if I'm wrong, Jewish redneck prepper. The 40 days, it's not Shabbat. This is the beginning of the 40 days where Moses went to the mount. Is that not correct, or am I off by a month? I'm trying to see if my history is on par right now. If somebody in the chat can comment and make sure I'm not like a complete month or two off from where I should be. Mm. For the record, this was a gift actually from my kids. Am I close? I'm close. Okay, I forgot the Hebrew name for the days, the period of time, uh, which would be where Moses received the Ten Commandments essentially on the Mount. So, and it's interesting. The reason I kind of went there is because right now, and hey, Joe, uh, in the Middle East, they're having some really weird stuff going on, guys. I mean, weirder than normal. Uh, but it's really strange watching the world right now. Either they're going to write about us and say, "Wow, you went through epic times," or they're going to write about us and say, "You're all a bunch of idiots." I fear it may be the second, but you never know. They may look back at these videos and go, "Wow, you guys had no clue what was going on, did you?" Does anyone else feel like that? Because that's been I am on, Loretta. I'm glad you made it. So yeah, there's some weird stuff going on in the Middle East, and I didn't realize it until uh hey Joe. Uh hey Penny, welcome, welcome. Um I didn't realize it until like this morning. So we were complaining because West Texas has been dying for rain, and now we've got nonstop rain. And the ground here, you hear the puppy in the background. So Bentley woke. His name is Bentley, by the way, the little black and tan corgi. And today he woke up and he decided that he would choose violence, and he assaulted the cowhide carpet. Then he assaulted the Papillon, who probably deserved it. And oh, okay, Ark, thank you, Ark. Um, then now he's assaulting his kennel. He just got riled up. He was playing tag with his big sister, and they were running in circles earlier. Now I think he's like a child that's overtired, because if I take him out, he's being ornery, but I put him away and he howls. So his howling is getting quiet. Joe, sometimes violence is the correct choice. Yeah. Well, for him, it wasn't, because he bit the big corgi in the butt, and all she did was turn around and run him over. She didn't even bare teeth or anything. And he ran away crying, and she just ran right through him and kept going. Hey, Random, how are you? So, guys, you know, I can only describe. There was actually a reporter was reporting on this, and well, that's basically I guess the dog equivalent of spanking is it got trampled by the other corgi. It can. Surprisingly, this breeder And a lot of it has to do with the breeder. The breeder shuts down everybody at 9 o'clock every night. So the parents and all the new pups, lights out, and they're in a separate area. So if the puppies cry, they're nobody cares, right? Because the other dogs go to bed. And so you get a puppy that typically by 9 o'clock at night is exhausted and ready to pass out. I didn't hear a peep from the puppy the first 3 nights we had him. Now I've jinxed it, right? He's going to be up all night tonight. But um, what I do, I let him loose at like right after dinner, and I let him play with the big dogs, and he just gets absolutely worn out. So I'll throw some videos up later on my channel with little knucklehead playing with the big dogs, which is kind of funny because you have the big potatoes, and then you have the little tater tot running after them, but he's about 3 feet behind because his legs are like that big, and he can't catch up to the other ones. But folks, we've got a couple of hurricanes kind of forming in the Atlantic, Gulf of Mexico. They're not sure where they're going to go, but flooding always will cause, inevitably will be the result of hurricanes and tropical storms. But what Pakistan had happen just blows my mind, and I got a short video I'll share with you guys because this makes you think. That's his new name, Knucklehead. He is a knucklehead, little potato over there. Hold on a second here. Let me know if you can hear this because my audio was jinky on a conference call earlier.
Unprecedented monsoon rains and flooding. On Monday, Pakistan's climate minister said the country was experiencing a climate catastrophe. Officials said 1/3 of Pakistan is underwater. Monsoon rains happened a month early this year, which caused rivers and dams to overflow. 33 million people in Pakistan have been impacted, and thousands of people have been forced to evacuate.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking.
And there's George Snuffleupagus, who nobody wants to see. But anyway, who is the Snuffleupagus anyway? Oh, that was that critter from the elephant-looking thing from Sesame Street. Yeah, the this flooding is really insane. It's here the Guardian. It's wrong, Joe. Funny but wrong. Yeah, that is wrong. Joe. Hold on a second here. We'll get this other one up. But this is important to think about because a lot of us have been dealing with a lot of rain. Some of us have had flooding, and some of us have had just bad driving conditions. So we may need to put on your good to see everyone. Please put some to do it twice a week. Take some time. Yep. If you can plant it, plant it. If you can't plant it, store it, stock it, whatever you can do. That's bad, Joe. Joe's got the dad jokes going again. Anyway, folks, so this is what's going on in Pakistan, and they lack infrastructure. So their situation is pretty bad. And I can speak from experience during Hurricane Harvey. The sewage plants got overrun, right? They just got flooded. And so you had caca basically floating down the street. And then you had stupid teenagers who were playing in the water. And the parents are telling them to get out and the kids ignore them. I basically walked up and said, I know how to get them out. And I looked at all the teenagers and said, y'all swimming in shit because the plant over there got flooded. And the kids knew what I was talking about. And they looked over and they looked down. 5 minutes, all of them were out. That's how you get kids out of doing things. Don't threaten them with death. Just tell them they're in caca or some kind of shit, and they'll freak out. So look at this, though. This is pretty
waters start to recede in some areas. It's the first chance to wade home and salvage whatever personal belongings are left. But as the
Sorry to hear
waters
that, Penny.
fall, the scale of need rises. For millions, home is now the side of the road or a hastily thrown together camp. More than 1,150 people are dead, 33 million are affected. The head of the UN is urging the world to come to Pakistan's aid in an urgent cash appeal. He warns today it is Pakistan, tomorrow it could be your country.
South Asia is one of the world's global climate crisis hotspots.
Can you guys hear that?
People living in these hotspots are 15 times more likely to die from climate impacts. As we continue to see more and more extreme weather events around the world, it is outrageous that climate action is being put on the back burner as global emissions of greenhouse gases are still rising, putting all of us everywhere in growing danger.
Today, the Prime Minister said these were the worst floods in the country's history.
Oh, damn.
In these satellite images, you can really see the devastation as rivers burst and rains washed away everything from crops to bridges. Every province of the country has been affected. In Sindh province, north of Karachi, farmers rescue what's left of their corn from flooded fields. At a time of global food shortages, it's catastrophic. More than 2 million acres of agricultural land is now underwater, and at least 700,000 cattle are dead. The country's planning minister puts the damage at more than $10 billion, a tough bill to pick up in a country already suffering from an economic crisis.
People have actually lost their complete livelihood. Their orchards, their gardens, their agriculture fields and crops have been destroyed. We have lost more than 45% of cotton crop in Pakistan. Rice crop has been badly damaged.
Today, on a trip to Dorset, the Prime Minister pledged the UK support.
It's absolutely heartrending that Pakistan is traditionally one of the biggest recipients of UK overseas aid. We will, of course, make sure that we send a fitting package commensurate with the vital relationship that there is between the UK and Pakistan.
The question now is, will help come fast enough and reach everyone in need? Large parts of the country are hard to reach. The main highway between Baluchistan and Sindh province is now an obstacle course to be attempted on foot. Trucks and oil tankers go nowhere. The country's army chief warns it'll be a long road to recovery.
Well, earlier I spoke to Darwa Butt, an environmentalist and the co-founder of Climate Action Pakistan. I began by asking if it makes him angry that richer, more developed countries are not following through on promises made just last year at COP26.
So, hey, Red, what's going on? So, a few lessons to learn here and things, and Penny had pointed out she lost a lot during Harvey. Roads will get washed out if you have a bad enough flood. And, you know, granted, this is not a hurricane, but we do have hurricanes in the Gulf. I don't know if Red can comment, but I believe even San Antonio took a bit of flooding just from the spin-off rain from the storm. Houston just got clobbered for like 10 days with just continuous rain because the storm was making circles as it made its way out. A few things to learn from here. Obviously, the infrastructure is garbage. You know, it's dirt roads. That's not a sustainable system where they're going to be able to get supplies in. Like, where would you even land a helicopter? Not something you'd see in the West, US, Canada, Europe, probably not. It would be more along the lines of regionalized flooding and people being isolated. I was in the field hospital with my guard unit, or part of my guard unit, up in Bush Airport during that last week. And Penny, a lot of that was due to the building of the Grand Parkway, I think. That's another thing. The Texas doesn't plan very well, especially Houston. So they built subdivisions right around the reservoirs. Well, the reservoirs filled up, and basically the choice was either release them in a controlled manner or cross your fingers and hope they don't fail. But had they failed, we would have had a Katrina on the west side of Houston, as it was, like you pointed out. Um, it would damage, damage untold homes either way. So yeah, no, not Central Texas. It's been raining all day. Yeah, no, Nikki, same here. Unfortunately, the rock out here doesn't handle the rain very well. It's not like Houston, Central Texas, where the grass will soak up. It either became mud or it just ran to the lowest spot and then hauled ass down the drain. So, oh, we lived on the San Jacinto. You were further south. Oh yeah, that was bad. Um, we weren't there. There was a different unit down there, and they actually stuck a Humvee trying to get someone out. It was bad in that part of the Houston area. So, wow, you were one of those homes that just the foundation was all that was left after that. But the water came from the other side. It didn't come from the coast. It came from what was trying to get back out. The drainage took you away, didn't it? Yeah, that's tough. So again, I mean, that's unfortunate what's happening in Pakistan, but it's important for people to realize there's lessons to be learned for all of us here. Um, One thing, very simple one: do you have flood insurance? If you think you could get flooded, that can help you at least mitigate some of the cost and the lost items. Also, do you have all your important documents in a place where they're easily accessible? After Hurricane Ike, we took some damage in Houston, and we lived in a different house during that storm. I couldn't find my insurance papers. Like, it was just a hodgepodge. Hey, farmer's son. Hey, Okie. Hola, hola. And Magic snuck in on me there. Who else? Wait. Hey, Mrs. Ghetto. I had to say hello to Moonsprout. And Loretta again. Hello, Loretta. Hey, I'm your Huckleberry. Hola. Welcome, welcome. Um, yeah, there's lessons to be learned there, especially as we get into September, October. Penny, Red October, in between, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Harvey hit, was it end of September or end of October? It was around like Q3, like it would have been in the next couple of months, if I recall correctly. So we're getting into that active season, and keep in mind the storms don't just stay there and go away, right? They'll do their damage and then they turn and they go up the coast. Typically, they go up toward. Thank you, Penny. Hey, D9, what's going on? Typically, they'll go up toward Oklahoma, Tennessee. Uh, that's assuming it hit Texas first. Oklahoma, Tennessee, Kentucky, and then makes its way out back toward the East Coast. Um, and that's if you're in Louisiana, puppy's absolutely adamant that he wants out of his kennel. He already got trampled by the other corgi. For those of you who missed the fun earlier, they were playing, and then he bit her on the butt, so she just ran him over. No teeth, no barking, just kept going. Ran through him. That kind of situation, I couldn't find the paperwork so I could make an insurance claim, and that was minor damage to the roof. But if you have to leave and then come back, like Penny's case, and everything's destroyed or damaged or gone, it may not be a bad idea to take pictures of valuables. For instance, right. Yeah, and flood insurance only does so much, but it is a big help versus not having any. And but Penny's right; it doesn't cover everything. And no, we actually had done a follow up 4 months, 3 months after the storm, and one of the neighborhoods said that FEMA had come through. They filled out paperwork, and they never heard anything. They had no furniture. Uh, Folks really heard nothing. It was crickets. The insurance people came if they had insurance, and that was it. So yeah. Yeah, although we've seen some early June, July, we've had a few sneak in, but typically September, October, like tail end of August until maybe mid-October seems to have been the busiest part for Texas. Yeah, officially it starts in June 1st. So, this is important stuff to keep in mind. Have those papers consolidated. I actually had different binders with insurance, personal papers, other stuff. What I wound up doing, for those of you my age group, do you remember the Trapper Keepers when they first came out? Now they call it the zippable binder or whatever. It's basically a big loose leaf that you can zip up. I consolidated all the books into one book. So, which includes, the emergency credit cards, any cash, stuff like that, personal documents. So if we have to leave, we're grabbing pets, the pet bug out gear, which I've shown on another video, grab our shit, and that book goes with us. And we can make all the calls for insurance, emergency, whatever, out of that book. I have hard copies of my insurance uh, statements, the coverage in the book, and then I keep it digitally on the cloud, under the assumption if it's just a general localized storm, I can download. But if it's something more catastrophic, I have a hard copy. Yeah, I can. Hey, Beth. Yeah, Penny, I can imagine the frustration. And they were probably getting inundated. And yes, the Trapper Keeper. Yeah, also, yeah, and that's a good point. Take pictures of your valuables beforehand if you can, or take a video of the house. So if you have to make an insurance claim, you can at least show this is what was here prior to whatever the hell happened. Lots of lessons to be learned there, because you can easily wind up, uh, even if it's just a minor set of damage, if you can't find your paperwork, you now have a 3-4 day delay or a 3-week delay. I think there are people in Louisiana still struggling to get help from the hurricane from last year. So the cool kids had. Yeah, I didn't have one. I was poor as shit when I grew up. Dad's like, here's your loose leaf, go away. Um, yeah, I was that kid who I was the kid who got half his clothes from Sears and the other half from the surplus store, because that's what we can afford, and you can't go to school naked. So my dad was like, you'll wear that and that'll work. So, hey, big chap, what's going on? Uh, yeah, I believe it. Yeah, it was such a massive storm. Uh, that's yeah, that would make sense. I know I've put beers and ice in the clothes washer because as the ice melts, it drains away, and then you get cold beer. But unless your brother-in-law falls into it and damages the machine, because that happened to me, because my brother-in-law had too many beers. Anyway, um, yeah, so be aware of that. Actually, while we're on the subject of flooding, and big chap, welcome. So, and granted, we're all not fans of the feds, but some of their people actually do their homework. So if you know a new prepper, or if you're a newer to preparedness, I believe it. And by the way, those trailers were garbage. There's a bunch of them in Louisiana parked because nobody can use them. Um, I don't know what this is here. But yeah, on ready.gov, you have some really good. I hate this thing. Hold on, there we go. Something just popped up and blocked my screen here. You could go through a bunch of different disasters. So if you know someone who's new and they don't know They don't know what they should do to start their preparedness. You can send them here, and it at least gives them some very basic basic ideas. Wait, what is Joe? Anyone want a fun pie? Joe. Scrubbing a new batch of 5-gallon pickle buckets. Okay, Big Chap, I don't know if your email's on your channel. I've got some from Firehouse Subs, and they were very pickly. And I don't remember if I put bleach and dish soap in there and washed it around and I left it. But within 2 days, the pickle smell was gone, and I was able to repurpose it. It's like it was never used. Um, but yeah, if you know someone who's new, or if you're just looking to make sure you didn't miss anything, you could definitely go to the website. At least it gives you some basic. Some of it's stupid. Do not walk, swim, or drive through flood waters. Right? You would think that's obvious. Hey, Deanne, welcome. Uh, but those of you in Texas know the first like 10 people who died were either swept away or tried to drive through and got trapped in their car and got pushed into a bayou. Um, so you'd think that makes sense, but apparently people don't realize it, and they die every year. The first half dozen people stay off bridges, a lot of basic stuff. You can also, and this one's useful, although it changed with Harvey, and you guys can probably, those of you who flooded would be familiar with it. So you could put, I don't know, Houston. Let me see if it does that. But you can get the most updated flood sheets, flood maps, which are also, well, that's pretty funky. Let's try that instead. And actually, this is not bad knowledge to have, because think about it. If you have to evacuate on foot, or even if you're driving, knowing where the flood zones are, or where flooding is likely to happen, probably not a bad thing. I don't know what this is supposed to tell me. Actually, this kind of sucks. This is not very impressive, is it? It's like, hey, here's your Google map. That doesn't tell us anything. I must be doing something wrong. Either that, or it actually does suck. I don't know. But anyway, if you got a starter prepper, send them to that website. At least get them some basic ideas of how to set up a get home bag, what things they need to keep in their house. It's yeah, turn around, don't drown. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know where the 308 came in, but that's always a good choice of rifle. Um, yeah, yeah, that I can appreciate. The M1A is a heck of a good platform in the 308 for those of you who may be looking for one. Not cheap, but very effective. Um, but yeah, folks, there's a lot of places you can send a starting prepper. Uh, I also used to keep bug out bags or get home bags in my kids' cars as they got old enough to drive. Uh, Something you should think about. Junior high schoolers want to be cool, and they're always picking on each other anyway. So what you don't want is to give them something that's going to look dorky, and they can't drive anyway, but it would be in their bag. It wouldn't hurt to have a poncho, a flashlight, a glow stick, and maybe a small first aid kit in their bag if they are allowed to carry such things. There was a time you could bring pocket knives into the schools, but you can't do that anymore, unfortunately, because stupid people ruined it for the rest of us. I never stood where people. That's funny, Red. I lived in South Louisiana for years, and I saw that a lot. a lot of them think, well, I got through Hurricane McMuffin, 20 years ago, and I don't need to move. And they get stubborn. Some, it may just be overconfidence or maybe fear. They don't want to be on the road. No, I'll be at home with my stuff. But I know during Harvey, and Harvey messed up the coast. Ike messed up the coast too, and we had heard the governor saying, if you choose to stay on Galveston Island, which is where Harvey had made the big brunt of the storm surge hit Galveston, he said, write your name in Sharpie on your arm. So if we find your body, we know who you are. Because after the winds pass, and he was very specific, the winds pass like 40 miles, 50 miles an hour, sustained winds, or the storm surge goes over 1 foot, we're not sending the first responders back for any of you. You're on your own. Yeah. Same with RV parks. Let's see. Oh, hold on, I lost. Oh, there's still. If you're on your own, you are on your own if you stay. And also keep in mind your family, your friends, your extended circle also suffers if you stay behind. Um, some people don't. I know there was an old man. He was like, I'm 90. I'm going to go eventually, and actually he survived. He like sat there and drank whiskey and had a cigar. I don't know, whatever the hell he did. But yeah. Oh yeah. Ooh, South Padre Island. And once the storm surge comes in, that's where you're staying. You're not going anywhere after that. Oh yeah. And oh hey, Triple Threat. Tarsha usually does a live before me, so I'm assuming she did today. Go check it out because she always has good stuff. But yeah, take the time if you got teenagers, even if they're not your kids, they're your nieces, nephews, grandkids. Tell them, hey, keep this bag in your car, even if it's the damn $20 roadside kit with the janky flashlight. It's better than nothing. Um, because I think people just, it's stubbornness, as someone pointed out earlier. And I'm questioning their mental health. Yeah. And I know for Harvey, they were very well prepared. So there was actually a week before, there was like a 411 number. I don't remember what it was. Basically, if you did not have a car, but you needed to evacuate, or you had an elder, like you were taking care of elderly folks or a disabled person, and you needed to take them with you, but you didn't have a means to do it, you called this number. They were going to send school buses around to designated spots, and all you needed to do was wait for them at the curb. And if you couldn't do that, they would send firefighters up to assist you to get down, to put you on the school bus and bring you to a safe area, which was up like by Conroe. They were taking, so there were all sorts of resources available, even if they were lower income, they were on fixed income, they didn't have a working vehicle, they had an elder with them. Hey, Vision, welcome. And they, a lot of people still didn't utilize it. And I'll tell you what, during Harvey, we had set up, the state had set up uh, shelters on the south side of Houston. And as a storm stalled over San Antonio and then over Victoria and just peed on us, um, the shelters were getting flooded. And then we had to retreat from the shelters we had a bunch of shelters consolidate in the George R. Brown Convention Center downtown and more on the north side of town. And hey, Klingon Princess, what's up? And yes, it was good. I listened, but hey, you tried, right? And that's all we can do. I feel if I know something and I see someone else setting up for failure, I'm going to inform them. I'll try. I'm not going to go out of my way if they become resistive and they're like, no, I know what I'm doing. All right, fine. You know what you're doing. And Red, I absolutely understand it. Hey, Hayes Gray, what's going on, Navy? I'll go in this room. Cat 2, play by here. Yeah, 4 and 5, you got to go. Well, wasn't Harvey just a massive Cat 3? Yeah, that's all you can do. See, and a lot of hotels were trying to help people. Some hotels were stuck, like they were surrounded by water. So even though the Pakistan floods are really tragic, they're kind of a different scenario as far as how the water manifested itself. Because they knew the storms were coming, they didn't know how big or the magnitude of them. But hey, heroic prepper. Hey, penny pinching prepper. Hello, hello. But that's right. You hear the puppy in the back. He's singing the song of his people back there. He wants out, but he chose violence, and now he's in his kennel. Yeah, because if not, the other corgi will kick his butt again. He's already been trampled once. They don't bite him, by the way, which is really funny. They won't bite him, but they'll run him over, and that usually does the trick. And you know, you figure he weighs 7.5 pounds. So he's this little loaf like this, and the big girl is 28, right? So she just has to give him a hip check, sends him rolling. He thinks he's dying, and then he runs away, and he calms down at that point. But yeah, folks, little things, little preps, but you may want to start running some drills mentally, if nothing else. If I flood out, what do I do? Where is everything? Where are those papers? Where's the emergency book? Where is extra cash if you have it? What food preps can you bring with you? And which ones? Yeah, the puppy. I want to see the puppy. I'll go grab the puppy in a second here. He's probably angry because he just wants to out. Where are the things you need, and how quickly can you get them, right? I'm fortunate now, it's just 2 adults. The dogs are going to be the biggest challenge, and I have crates for them, but all of them know how to drive. And that's another thing. If you have pets, socialize the pet. Make sure their shots are up to date, socialize them, that they work well on a leash, on a harness, because you go to a shelter and that dog becomes a commotion, they can actually kick you out. So if you guys want to wait a second, I'm going to go summon the puppy because I know you guys are dying to see him. Hang on. All righty. So hold on. This is going to be interesting. Where you going, buddy? Hold on. So oh Lord, I'm going to have to move the camera down. This isn't working for me. Okay, this is Bentley, the corgi. Oh, I'm glad I had that beard. He is 7 pounds of angry puppy teeth. Whew. And now the big corgi you saw him playing with in the video is actually his big sister. They're from the same parents, different litters. She came out like a red. She came out red like the Queen's corgi. He's what you call a tri. And you see his ears, even though they're black on the, you won't sit still, you little shit. He just wants to bite. You see how his ears are lined in red. So his actually this red you see on his little eyebrows is going to go over his crown. This is actually a homesteading dog. But now you're looking for something to bite. Look at those paws though. I mean, this big paws. They're technically classified as a medium. Owie. A medium breed. So they're classified with the Border Collies, Australians. And a corgi, when trained, can run about, oh, he's got my shirt real good, can run about 22 to 24 miles an hour. Bite him back. Yeah, I've actually had one dog was older and bit me, and I bit her on the ear, and he never bit me again. He's just being a toot, this one. Here, go play in the bed, terrorist. And whew, that was a handful. Ugh. Hey, we don't do that. He found Luna's bed, so now he's rolling in his sister's bed. So I'll tell you what, puppy teeth are always fun. Actually, well-behaved dogs. He's and like I said, he's bitten the bigger dogs, and they'll roll him or growl him down, and so he's learning. I give the bigger ones ice. We were thinking of giving him a frozen. Okay, so a little dog trick for those of you who want to prep for your pets. Take pumpkin puree and put it in the ice cube trays, but with the small cubes or the small shapes, right? And freeze it. And what you do, you get, I'm watching him because he's attacking books and whatnot. Boy, he's working hard on that thing. You get these little pumpkin frozen niblets. Okay, not only is it a good treat for them, do not bite my feet, terrorist. Go over there, fight. Oh, fight with that. Get it. God bless, puppy. Bite something else. Not only will you have a treat for them, but if they get sick, when they get the scoots because they eat something wrong, pumpkin actually settles their stomach. It stops diarrhea. There he goes again, psycho. It stops diarrhea, and it stops vomiting, which is good because if you're in an emergency, you don't want a dog to dehydrate. I got the cable. You having fun now? Yeah. So this is, yeah, he gets out and he chooses violence immediately. Ow, ow. Yeah, he's definitely teething. He's not biting. He's like gumming, like he's trying to soothe his little gums. Over there and fight with that. You can bite his bed. The Papillon's kind of a jerk anyway, so go ahead and bite his bed. Don't bite my feet. That's not what I wanted. You're this disruptive little guy, ain't he? But yeah, the frozen pumpkin puree, but get the pumpkin puree in the can that only contains, he's out of control, crazy, only contains pumpkin. Don't give him the one that has additives or sugars or whatnot, because that'll make them sick. Then you'll really regret it, because stuff will come out of every end of your dog, so you don't want that. But yeah, go on, Al Qaeda, go play over there, terrorist. Yeah, he's working. He found this little plush toy and he's killing it over there. Pig ears work really good. Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, it would be so bad. But that's a USB cable, monster. Leave that alone. That did you get stuck now? Good job. He doesn't care. He's still trying to get whatever it was he was after. But that's a great way to. It's a treat, and it's also really soothing for their stomachs. Also, dehydrated broccoli is a great treat for them. No, I won't be bored at all. Actually, the other dogs are having a blast with him. But I'm gone about 13 hours a day. Yeah, if you're gone a lot, puppies, would you? Yeah, they do usually grow out of it. Thank you, Deanne. That would be Sassy's. Hey, stop biting that. Sassy's little Etsy side hustle, at least for this time of year. All right, hold on. I got to put Terrorist back in his kennel. Wait for the Song of His People. Song of Injustice. Hold on. Oh, Lordy. Whew. That was exciting. He's going to start the Song of His People again. Frozen hot dog. Yeah, if they're used to it, it does have a lot of fat and that may clear out the dog on the other end. So yeah, he's still cutting teeth. But he's actually, he sleeps all night. He doesn't understand commands, right? He's a stupid little puppy. But because I have a pack that has an order, when I send the dogs out to pee, he goes with them. And obviously he has accidents in the house, accidents outside, but or he pees outside and then sometimes he pees inside, but he at least is getting into that trend, if you will, where he understands this is what we do every morning, this is what we do in the afternoon. So hopefully he'll start understanding. Yeah. No, they are. Actually, the Papillon got annoyed with him and got a little aggressive with the puppy, and the big corgi came and kicked his butt. Oh, y'all, it was bad. I had to break them up. The bigger corgis went to defend the little one because they didn't like the other dog trying to be abusive. And then they punished the other dog and ran him out of the room. So, yep. So yeah, I might do that. Might be my Saturday video. Is I'm going to set a camera up and just have the dogs play, and we can just be in the chat watching dogs fight with each other. So, but yeah, folks, don't forget if you, it's that time of year, hurricane season. They have flooding in Pakistan of all places, but train the dogs to fear the chancla. I'm telling you. You know what they're scared of? They don't like the paper towel roll. They want to kill it. And I guess because when they're little, I can bonk them with it and it doesn't really hurt them. It just gets their attention, but they think it's battle now. And they'll grab, the big ones will grab it out of my hand and run away and just tear it to pieces. But yeah, training, you got to train your pets. If you have to evacuate and you got to go to a shelter, if your dog's obedient, it makes life so much easier for everybody. It absolutely does. Um, and also, you know, if you have older dogs, the little one will start following the big one. So you know that kind of helps. But have their shot records in hard copy in your emergency book. You know, stuff like that, folks. It's very. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you have to run out the door, a lot of people will say, "Oh, I'll remember." I have relatives, some of his people. Um, I have relatives who are like, no, I'll just remember when it's time. No, if you have water coming in your house or riot going on, you're not going to remember because the adrenaline starts going and you're going to forget something. And also, you may want to also update your emergency phone numbers and where you plan to evac to if you're going to a relative with your company. For instance, my company will list like emergency contacts. Obviously, my wife would be the first one, but then if something happens to the both of us, who can they contact? And it would be like my eldest daughter, my brother. So there's other people that they can say, hey, we can't reach this person. Even if it's just among your family members, you know, where you say, hey, if I have to leave my home because of fire, flood, whatever, I'm going to Uncle Joe. I'm going to my friend, you know, Sam from college, whatever. This is the address. That's the phone number over there. So in an emergency, people get a bit panicked. They may not remember, but they look at that piece of paper and they go, hey, look, um, they're supposed to be headed that way. If nothing else, if you don't show up, they can say, well, he was going from, I don't know, Houston to Dallas and he never made it. Well, he was either going up I-45 or, you know, 83 or one of the other highways. They can at least kind of get a handle. Hey, Cold War prepper, how you doing? We got a bunch of Texans in the house today. Um, you can probably backtrack where the person may be, you know, if they don't show up, if they made it halfway. Also, if you have to leave or if you're going to pick someone up to evacuate them, which has happened to me as well, give them an ETA, and do check-in calls. So, for instance, if I'm driving from Dallas to Houston, it's just an easy example because it's a straight line south. Um, check in at Huntsville, check in at Conroe. Hey, just hit Huntsville, just hit Conroe. You know, just hit the north side of Houston, Guns Point, right? And those of you from Houston or near Houston know what I'm talking about, Guns Point. Right, exactly. They have an A to B to start looking in. And if you're doing updates, hey, Oz snuck in on me here. And I don't know where, there is. Can we lay bets during that video? um, uh, if you have check-in points and people say, okay, he went from Dallas to, you know, to Waco to, you know, College Station, and then he was gone, you kind of know the path the person was taking. You can then say, okay, this was the last known location. That you can tell law enforcement. If you tell them, oh, he was driving from Dallas to Houston and he never arrived, the cops are like, that's a big chunk of land. Like, where do we start looking? So, you know, a couple of things, a couple of things to think about. Um, you could see these folks really were not prepared for this kind of stuff. Yeah, do not propagate to general. Yes. Hayes Gray and I have had extended conversations in private about stupid family and friends. And sometimes family are the worst ones. I hate to say it, but it's true. Um, they're the ones who absolutely either get you or take it for granted that, oh, well, I'm going to your house, not realizing you didn't necessarily prepare for them. So it's the same going into words or going on a trip. Yeah, sadly, and we see it happen, Joe. We've seen it in the news, right? So and so went hiking and disappeared, and they went to the mountains. No backpack, no water, no jacket, no portable shelter, no heating device, nothing. They went with a bottle of water and, you know, their little fanny pack or whatever, and then they get lost. They die. A bear eats them. They freeze to death. Um, little things. Um, Yes, Moonsprout. I'm glad you brought that out. That's another thing. Uh, is yeah, if you're going somewhere and you're lost, you can say, "Hey, I'm at such and such state park. It is this time that I'm leaving the message, and I can see the ranger station to my left, and I don't know, the big mountain to my right," because somebody with a map can actually take that map and go, "Huh, there, that person was around here," and it kind of narrows down the search. Um, Usually it's stupid, Red. They don't think it can happen. A good example, some of my work colleagues in another company, they had gone on a group of group kayaking or canoeing event on the Rio Grande in Big Bend National Park. And those of you from Texas know how massive Big Bend is. It's about the size of Rhode Island, and it's one big park. They were going up the river, and there were two groups, right? Another group that wasn't theirs, and then their group. And the group in front sends a canoe back. They paddle back and say, "Do you guys have a sat phone?" And it turned out one of the guys in that group that I know, he used to be a Marine, and he's, you know, he has all his gears. He loves goodies, right? He has gadgets, and he had a sat phone, and another guy had a sat phone. So they said, yeah, he said, we need to make a call. There's somebody in distress up ahead. So now all the canoe groups have gone to where the people are. And it turned out that there were two women had parked their car, water bottle each, and a phone. That was it. No backpack, no gear, nothing. Walked down the trails. They went to the river. On the way back, there were cattle on the path. Instead of simply either going around the cattle or waiting for them to leave, because the cattle will lose interest, right? They freaked out and went off trail. The guys, put them in the canoes. They got them to a safe place. He said their skin was already becoming leathery. They did the calculations and figured out that they had been lost for approximately 17 hours in the park with no water. One of them drank Rio Grande water, which is probably going to poison her. And they walked over 18 miles. And where they were found was literally only 2 miles from where their car was parked. They completely got lost. No compass, no radio, no water, anything. So don't take for granted, oh, I'm just going, unless you're going to the park down the street to walk around the playground. Don't take for granted you go into the woods or into the ravine somewhere. Yeah, it can absolutely, Joe. It can absolutely happen to anyone. Hey, did Northern Girls sneak in on me? Hey, there was snow on the ground. Oh no, wait, so they kicked his trails over on purpose? Not that they were lost too, because that would suck. Yeah, and tie ribbon to trees. That's a good way to do it. Before you go to a location, you can go online. There are a lot of resources. You can get maps. Typically, every state and federal park, I know the state parks in Texas provide a map that you can get in a hard copy at the ranger station before you go into the park. And I always get one, and I'll fold it up and I'll mark parked here and which trail I'm on. And you lay it out. It takes you 5 minutes. You lay it out on the hood of your car and orient it with your compass and say, okay, this is north. This is where my trail goes. I'm supposed to turn. I should be at that mountain in 40 minutes. And if you're not there, uh, oh, that sucks. I hope you kick their ass, Jen. Seriously, that's awful. Yeah, you could carve into a tree. That's another way to do it. Yeah, and they are good, which is a good thing. Right. And actually, interesting way what you just said, Red. If you're lost, to I think it was Penny or somebody change your voice message on your phone. If you can actually write down what your coordinates are on your phone, then change your message and say, hey, at the time of this message, I'm at 32 north, 52 east, whatever. These are my coordinates. I'm facing the sun. I'm headed in that direction until I run out of light, and I will rest at this area. Yeah, a lot of things to do. Yeah, nasty black grasshoppers. I remember them. Uh, oh yeah, and you'll have gators just plop out on the road. So don't freak out if you see a gator. More than likely, they're not interested in you unless you're in the water and you screwed with them somehow. But yeah, but they're little things to prepare yourself if you get flooded out. If you have to bring your pets, and if you have to get the kids home. If you have teenagers or you have family, like multiple family members commuting in and out, you may want to have meeting places besides the house. For instance, back in my old house, there was a Panera down the street that was on high ground next to a fire station. I knew both were built on high ground on purpose. So I told the kids, if you ever can't make it to the house or you get lost, meet me there. I'll go there and find you. And even if we have to walk back together, we have a designated meeting spot. Um, and the Panera manager lived nearby. So even during Harvey, they'd open the door and it was just coffee and bagels. That's all they had, which was fine. It's hot bagel and hot coffee. But yeah. Oh, good one. Yes, if you have livestock, uh, that's something yeah, I wouldn't even thought of. I don't have livestock. And that's people abandon livestock in Houston. I'm sure you read those articles. And they had horses, cows everywhere. Yeah, set up camp where you are if you can find a safe place to do it, or at least near where you get off trail. Uh, doing markings. See, and if you own the property or you're there constantly, you can do something like this. You can mark your own trails. So you know, hey, this is the blue trail, the yellow trail, and you should have an idea where it goes. So, but yeah, folks, if you're in hurricane country, right, this is going to be the next couple of months is really going to be when it's going to get really busy. It's really going to get active in the Gulf. We're seeing it all over the world, and you know, you can argue climate change, natural climate adjustments, human, whatever. The bottom line is they happen every year. It's not a surprise. They come, they make a mess, they go away. Be prepared if you have to leave. As Penny pointed out, and Penny, I mean, I'm sorry to hear you. Penny lost their house, and it's good to understand if you have to go. Where's your stuff? Where are you going? What are you taking with you? Because you're going to have limited space, and it could be limited time depending on how quick the flood gets to you. Hurricanes move slow. You kind of see them coming, and they're still devastating. So imagine something popping out of nowhere. Uh, Gators. Yeah, they were probably sunning and were very uninterested in you. Yeah. And also stock up on pet food and keep, when you go through Conroe, say hi to my Aunt Pat. Yeah. No. And actually, Penny, to your point, what I start, oh, sorry. Hey, Lucky Dame's link. Thank you, Northern Girl. Uh, what I started doing, and I have to do it with a batch of photos, but a lot of the family photos that were on different phones and computers and whatnot, I consolidated them. I put them on iCloud and I shared them with my kids so they can, you know, pull down or download family photos because that's usually what you lose that you can't replace. You can replace TVs and laptops. That's easy enough. Um, Photos, stuff like that. Also, the important papers, again, hard copies in a binder or something, preferably waterproof, but if not, at least in a binder where you have a hard copy, not just electronic. And, you know, plan for having to get home first. If there's an emergency, you may have to get home before you can bug out. So make sure your family has some meeting spots if they can't all make it home. But yeah, the flooding in my paper photos in my book. Yeah, absolutely. And all right, thank you, Northern Girl. I appreciate you. And yeah, folks, just you know, keep in mind if you have to go, do you have the things you need relatively easy to get a handle on? Hold on a second here. I had my screens, too many screens going at once. I've offended the internet gods. Yeah, Matt, I went to school in upstate New York, and we would get that lake effect snow coming off of Buffalo, and it would just clobber us across the north. So, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Well, folks, yeah, just plan the flooding was a very timely topic. Pakistan does not have infrastructure, they don't know how to respond to it. Um, Thank you, Lucky. And hey, Magic, be safe. So, folks, look, do those little things now. Hi, G. I normally will I'll pre-schedule them so people see them on their feed, but today was such a garbage show in my work schedule. I wasn't even going to do a live until the last minute. I just jumped on, so don't. Yeah, this was kind of like out of the blue. But folks, have the paperwork ready. Make sure you have food for the pets. Make sure their shots are up to date. Even if you don't have like a bug out bag per se, at least know I travel enough where I know where my first aid kits, my toilet bag, toiletries are, all that stuff. I can throw bags together very effectively, very fast. Um, but you know, have that plan, run those scenarios. Talk to the family and say, hey, look, if we have to go, what are we going to do? Now, if you can't go, if you're taking care of an elder or taking care of kids that may not be mobile or someone who's disabled, talk to the county. Say, hey, what is the plan? Because they're supposed to have one if they're getting FEMA money. What is the plan if disabled have to evacuate and they do not have a car? How do we get out? And ask what they say. They may be stupid, sadly, but they may not. But folks, I'm going to wrap this one up here. But guys, just do the basic things, get the paperwork in order, make sure you have what you need, and try to look and see, pay attention to the weather. It's really weird. We're getting flooding in strange places. Pakistan's freaking underwater right now, but we got hurricanes in the Gulf. We've gone through this drill before. Yes, Red, absolutely. Carry your EDC with you. And I highly recommend, if you're going to have to travel across state lines, get the permit. It's a little extra time and a little extra money, but it's well worth it, because if you change jurisdictions and you go, say, from Texas to Oklahoma, Arkansas, they will recognize the Texas carry permit as valid. Whereas their constitutional carry is only for their residents, not necessarily for us. So you kind of get what you say. And also, yes, very good. Keep your tank half full as much as you can. GPS in Manhattan, you can only see straight up. Yeah, unfortunately. But no, and I'll be honest, I spent a lot of time working with FEMA. It's only a system, right? It's a system whereby a bunch of agencies try to coordinate. But if the event is such that it overwhelms the system, then FEMA is not functional. You compare Katrina to Harvey, they were both epically large disasters. Harvey went way better than the Katrina. Katrina was a disaster because they learned, right? The FEMA response was awful there. It was very well coordinated for Harvey. But yeah, it's it's going to be one of those things. FEMA may or may not be there. And if they're there, they may or may not be fully functional because their assets haven't arrived. So you want to make sure you have that stuff. True. Well, the only FEMA camps we saw were actually just shelters. They were all in high school. So it's kind of like, they put the kids in the backyard. But yeah, some FEMA camps are kind of creepy. Yeah, Harvey was way better. But yeah, Joe's still with the dad jokes, but yeah, federal excess money allowances. But yeah, folks, keep in mind, it's only a system, and if the people can't get to the emergency zone in a timely manner, there'll be no help. You'll be on your own. But if you have to go, make sure you have a plan, a destination, have your paperwork, have your pets, have your loved ones, and make sure you kind of run that plan. Talk to people, put your hands on it, because it doesn't have to be, yeah, it does. So, guys, it doesn't have to be a catastrophe. It can be a local, personal SHTF. So, keep doing it the same way you're doing it. Keep getting ready. Keep learning. Keep growing. And, like I said, my project this last weekend was consolidating all the emergency papers, paperwork, extra cash, etc., into one big binder, one trapper keeper, so that if I have to go, or if I'm in an emergency and my wife has to go, she gets in the safe, grabs the book, out the door she goes. And, make your life a little easier by planning a little bit ahead now. So anyway, folks, God bless all of you guys. Godspeed if you're going to travel. I hope you enjoyed seeing Mr. Bentley, the Viking Corgi. And I will see you guys next week. No, I have a video Thursday. I have a few videos through the week. Next week, I will have Off the Wall, Texas Red Leg, and Triple Threat on my channel, doing Off the Wall's battle board on my channel. And then after that, Vision and I are trying to figure out a schedule so he can come on and jump in with me and Mad Shad. So keep an eye out on the future panels. Until then, God bless, Godspeed. You guys be safe out there. Take care.